everybody, to the end of the year spectacular. The end of the year in what? Why, the end of the year 2025 in ABA. We're joined by an all-star cast tonight. We've got B. Arthur and who else? All the other Golden Girls. And of course, your favorite ABA podcast hosts from ABA Inside Track and Behavioral Observations. Let's go around the horn. So, because the Golden Girls haven't arrived yet. So who is actually here at the moment? Well, there's me, Robert Perry Cruz. Hello. Who else is here?
It's me, Diana Perry Cruz. Hi.
It's me, Jackie McDonald, not Perry Cruz.
Oh, got a full one.
Hey guys, it's Matt from Behavioral Observations.
Woo! All right.
Hey,
well,
Matt.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, we are all here doing our year-end extravaganza. Year-end extravaganza, I'm sure. We've done this for I should have counted how many years. I want to say at least 6.
At least.
Maybe 7, maybe 5. Somewhere around 6.
That's super fun. I'm glad we get it. This is a fun thing I look forward to every year. So I'm glad we're keeping it up.
Us too.
Yeah, so we're going to be sort of talking generally about some trends in the field of ABA, some remembrances from the shows from the past year, and then we are going to be celebrating both of us, all 4 of us are celebrating an anniversary at the in March of the coming year.
There's only 3.
Well, there's 4 of us if you count Matt, who's also here, and the Golden Girls makes it 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I thought we could do a little reminiscing moment, looking back. It's all about looking back on the year that was 2025. So we were going to start off with some hot-hitting news, and everyone said, nobody wants to talk about that, so we're not going to do that anymore. So instead, I thought, let's kind of start just with like a round robin of what have you found to be kind of your thoughts on whether it's the state of ABA in 2025 or like positive things that you've seen in the past year that you're, excited about and hope continue into 2026.
Why don't you start, Matt?
Well, I mean, I think the elephant in the room, and this is something I'm probably the least competent to talk about, though, but that's never stopped me from opining on things anyway. And I think the listeners can probably guess what we're going to talk about is AI and applied behavior analysis. I mean, it's just everywhere, and everything is AI this and AI that, and there's lots of new tools that have come out and platforms that are leveraging these technologies. And at the same time, there's some very real concerns about like how much do we offload our work onto these systems? Does that take away the personal touch? Does that take away clinical decision making? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really fascinating time to at least just be an observer of what's going on. As with many of these things, I think it'll all shake out. I don't stay up at night worrying about this stuff, but it is interesting. It's certainly things that we need to pay attention to, and I'll be interested to see where it goes. As a user, I don't have a lot of personal need for these sorts of things. I use ChatGPT here and there to, basically help with developing show notes for the episodes and things like that. But I don't do insurance-funded work, as just about everyone who listens to the podcast knows. I'm just a school consultant for my day job. I don't really use those tools that much in that regard. So, but for those in clinical practice and clinics and in-home services, et cetera, there's a lot of tools coming to the market, and it'll be interesting to see how that impacts the practice of behavior analysis. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of same boat as you, Matt, in terms of like my day job. Certainly for things like AI to speed up translations, to work with, a more diverse population of families. So it's sort of doing like auto translating, like teachers' notes and I mean, that seems like a low hanging AI fruit. Like we've been able to do that for a long time, but that has been really great to just have software that just automatically does it. So we don't have to be like, oh, who's going to be the translator? How are we going to talk to this family? How can we communicate? And it's just like one more hurdle to deal with. Like maybe it's not worth trying to communicate, which is never the right answer.
That's the wrong answer.
I know that's the wrong answer, but there was a reality of I don't have the language to translate. We don't have access to a translator in a district. It's hard, but now so many of those kind of software tools are available. The teachers are just like, everyone gets everything all the time. We don't have to worry about parents. Parents send messages back. So in some ways, it has opened up communication. And I feel like anyone talks to me for a while, Matt, I'm kind of the same as you of like, I'm concerned about this, and I don't know if I like it, and I don't have a day-to-day experience. And if I worked in a job if I were like applying for a new job and they told me like, well, what's your AI use like? And that was going to be a deal breaker, I would say, I don't want your job. I'd rather be unemployed because I'm mad about this.
I would be like, I use it to be like, what should I eat this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. And I think so much of it is that the money has been in the large language models, which I think some AI experts are talking about, is there a utility to that? And you just get the sense that it feels like one more marketing tool. And maybe there'll be a big old bust. And then 5 years later, they'll actually be like the good AI that we really were hoping for, that does make change. It does cut out some jobs, but we're all kind of like happy with it. To be in general, like this feels additive, whereas AI right now, I just feel like all I think about are like social media use of AI, and I don't care. I know that's not it, but I feel like that's all I see.
So there's a company I work with, and they've sponsored some of the shows on behavioral observation. So if you'll kind of indulge me here in a little bit, called Frontera, and they're doing some really innovative things in terms of speeding up the insurance authorization process. In terms of, that's just one of the many things that they're doing. And so I think there's a lot of efficiencies that can be brought to bear in clinical practice, basically allowing more time for, client to therapist interaction. So I think there's some clear positives that, if done the right way in an ethically sound manner, can really help RBTs and BCBAs spend more time with clients and patients than they would, writing reports or, all the other administrative tasks that go along with it. So what's interesting too, I don't know if you guys have had Francesca on, right? Have you seen her Substack about the Aura series?
No.
Oh man. Okay. We got to put this in the show notes. So, okay. So for the listeners who aren't familiar, Dr. Francesca degli Espinosa, she is like one of the smartest behavior analysts I've ever met. Every time I talk to her, I just feel like I haven't studied enough. And anyway, she's great. She's super cool. And the last episode, she came on my show. She did one recently, and we talked a lot about some of her concerns about AI. And it was like the one thing. It's like, oh my gosh, I slightly disagree with this person. I have like immense respect for. Oh my God, am I allowed to do that?
So you're growing as a person, that you can hear someone that you're like, I know what you're saying is smart, and I don't know if I'm 100% on.
No. It was actually, and I'll send you guys the link to the episode for the show notes too, if people want to check it out if they haven't heard it. But no, it was just an interest. She's, so if you haven't checked out that episode, she has a Substack newsletter that's fantastic called What I Learned from Darwin, and she has a special series called the Aura series. And so it's kind of like this not too distant future where everything in ABA is AI driven, and there's these behavior analysts who like they go on this trip to a developing country, like a service trip of some sort, and all the technology, all infrastructure goes to hell in a handbasket, and they have to actually work direct. They don't have any of these like fancy tools and things like that. It's about like how they deal with it and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, it's got like Ready Player One vibes to it. It's really
cool.
And she is an amazing fiction writer. Like when you read it, it's like I feel like I'm reading a novel. It's awesome. So
she's going for a Walden 3 kind of vibe or something.
Oh, it's much better written than Walden 2 for sure.
What are you talking about?
No. Well, let's be honest here.
Said Roger.
So, okay, that's making me okay. So I know Francesca is awesome, and just hearing about the idea for the story, I'm like, you know what? I bet that exists. I'm sure someone told me about it. But AI to do a video recording of a behavior, like a functional analysis session, so that I don't have to score it later, so that it can just watch my interactions, watch the movement of the student, and sort of track in real time, the approach, the move away, the engagement in, the turning on, the turning off, like something like that feels like, couldn't AI do that? That feels very doable, and that would be very helpful.
And but also like video recording and coding of sessions, like you can track. I know as behavior analysts, we're not worried as much about the topography of verbal behavior in terms of like mean length of utterance, blah 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 blah. But it can count those things,
Yeah.
and there are opportunities there that I think are that I think can that can be a force multiplier in terms of clinical efficiency, and so yeah, I'm for the most part pretty bullish on it. I think with some reservations, of course, of people like just you always worry about someone doing everything with AI. I will say one thing, and I know we need to move on here. We got limited time because you guys have like pies to bake and whatnot. But it was last school year for giggles. I had a student I was doing some consultation on, and the school had compiled a stack of incident reports. And what I did is I created like a spreadsheet, of course, all de-individualized, just everyone relax, but so I basically put in like, and it wasn't really ABC. I just kind of like wrote like a sentence or two for each event describing it. And like I said, for giggles, I just said, look at this and tell me what the function of is. And it did a fairly competent job. Like I was like, I already had a sense of what was going on. I was just kind of like, I was trying to do some correspondence, see if there was correspondence between, what it would spit out and what my thinking was. It wasn't that bad. It was actually, so and it's probably only going to get better. Mm-hmm. So anyway, students don't do that, by the way.
But AI feels like it's at that weird point of like,
I was just testing.
You have to learn how to do the hard work so that you understand that AI is or is not actually doing it right.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. Or I was holding it for a friend, or put it whatever you want to. But like I was just really just testing to see like if there was correspondence between what I was thinking was going on and what the system would spit out, and it was pretty impressive.
All right. I know Alan Carcina at Regis has done a lot of cool AI work. I know we had y'all did a talk at Babbitt.
He loves it.
He loves AI, and I trust it. Just like Francesca, I trust Alan. So if Alan likes it, I know there's something there.
But it doesn't mean that you need to like it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to like it, but I know I'm not gonna say nuts to this. I mean, I might anyway, just because that's my attitude towards a lot of things. And you know what? I will. Thanks, Diana.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the permission. All right, Jackie, Diana, what do you think? A trend this year that you've been noticing in the past year?
I can say that our students are amazing.
It's true.
That is a trend that wasn't always the case. Like, I think that people are finally moving out of COVID fog and COVID fatigue and, like feeling traumatized every day with the world. Mm-hmm. And I know that our last few years of students have been really driven, have been really excited, have been really ready to embrace change and to hear the neurodivergent perspective and to incorporate that into behavior analytic treatment plans and assessments. And so I think that is a trend that I love and I hope continues.
Yeah. All right. You heard it here first. Students from previous years, you weren't so hot. It's the new students.
I'm saying. I'm saying that COVID was rough.
Yes.
Right.
COVID was rough.
More bandwidth for
other things.
Learning pursuits.
Right. And not just trying to survive alone in your bedroom.
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
That sounds fair. Donna, you're kind of in the same boat. Are you seeing kind of the same trend, or do you have a different one that's sort of been sticking out?
No, I think that is true. But I was going to say, I feel like our field as a whole has just become more confident in terms of being able to pair together compassionate, neurodiversity affirming, culturally responsive approach with the science side of what it is that we do. And like both of those pieces have always been present in our field. And I think that there has been some like pretty significant pendulum swinging over the last, let's say, 10 to 20 years. And everyone is, in my view, kind of coming to say both of these sides are what we are, and we can be proud of both of these components. And we're going to lead moving forward and keeping both of these like fully present. in the work that we do. And that to me is exciting. So I think a lot of us have, sort of scrabbled a little bit to make sure that we feel on top and confident in our approach, in our science, and in how we want to move forward in the field. And I think that we're kind of getting there. So to me, that is how I see things currently.
Nice. And I'll wrap up. I kind of a similar vein, then. I feel like the field, again, maybe it's that sense of we kind of know who we are and who we want to be better than we have in other years. But I do really feel like the idea of collaborating with other people as an active role where we are just a member of a team rather than the smartest member of a team that will tell everyone what to do. I've definitely seen that more. All of Babbitt this year was on the idea of collaboration. Matt, I know you spoke at the Babbitt Social this previous spring, and we're talking about motivational interviewing. And I don't know how much feedback you got from folks, but I would assume it was similar to when I first heard about it. Of man, we should be talking about this way more in the work we're doing. So much of this is, I think, so able to be explained as behavior of change. And I feel like a couple years before that, you'd get a couple people talking about it and a couple people be like, that's not behavior analysis. That doesn't count. And I feel like everyone is more willing to be open about what is human behavior and more stuff that we feel comfortable. I think we can explain this as behavior, and therefore we should be a part of learning more about it and reaching out a little bit more.
So, Rob, the talk you're referring to is the one that not just I did, but it was a collaboration between myself and Dr. Kara Regan.
Yes.
The source, at least for my part of the talk, was a text from professors of social work. It was not even a behavior analytic text. It's this book called Clinical Interviewing, which if you own a clinic or if you're someone in clinical leadership and you're in charge of other BCBAs and you want them to really get better at soft skills and things like that, this book called Clinical Interviewing, and I'll send you guys the link so you can have it in your show notes. I'll certainly put it in mine. I have gifted this book to many people. It's amazing. And when you read it, it's like, of course, it's like one of those things you read and it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And,
yeah, right.
So yeah, and we were able to put together a talk that was, I think relatively, made sense, aligned with behavior analytic principles, but the source material was from the social work field about, how to gain rapport, what groundwork that you need to lay before you even start thinking about providing recommendations and things like that. So that's one area where I think it's one example of being able to draw from a different field, shoot it through a behavioral lens so you understand the principles that underpin it, of course, but is I think we need more of that. So yeah.
And I don't know, this year it felt more like you could come out and be like, I'm going to learn about this from another field and I'm going to put my behavioral lens on it. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be behavior analytic when it comes to it, but I'm comfortable saying, let's learn about this because other people are interested. And why aren't we? And maybe we'll decide why we're not, but maybe we'll decide we are interested and there's more we can add to the process.
Yep, we still need to maintain some skepticism, of course. Yes. Like what's the saying? Keep an open mind, but not so open that your brain falls out. Who said that? I don't know. Diana, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Please.
It sounds like Mark Twain. One, but I don't actually know who said that. I was just gonna say I feel like we are more confident in our humility, if that makes sense.
That's like an oxymoron.
No, but we can sit and listen to an idea that we're not uncomfortable with and not be like, oh, this idea's wrong. That's not how it works.
I am so freaking humble. I'm so freaking humble.
No one's more humble than me.
It's our acceptance. Our acceptance hexaflex is it's through the roof these days.
Oh,
we
no.
can sit with these feelings.
Turns out time's up and we have to go.
Oh, God.
All right. So trends so those are some of the trends we've been noticing.
Very good.
Another thing that we had last year, and let's do it again this year, top 8 episodes of 2025 from the shows. I think last year we did it like a 1-in-1, and let's just do that again. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I want to go first because I love our number 8.
Number 8
okay.
has Jackie's name in the title.
Yeah. So number 8 for this year was Why Jackie Hates DRO.
Ooh.
I mean,
episode 320.
It's been a cliffhanger for many years on the podcast. I think after almost 10, people were really curious how it was going to end. So far, unlike Twin Peaks or Lost, people still seem to be listening to the show, even though they found out the answer. So I think that's probably why. Just, it's one of those unanswered questions.
I can say that it was hilarious because when I saw people in person, they wanted to defend their use of the DRO all the time. So
That's
even
awesome.
like BCBAs, I haven't seen in like 15 years. I ran into a BCBA at Sylvie's school. Sylvie's my daughter. Her school meeting, and I haven't seen this person in, I swear, like 15 to 20 years. And she came up and she's like, I use DROs. And I was like, okay. She was like, but here's the reason why. And I was like, okay. And she said, but there's a good rationale. I'm like, I still hate them. And I'm still going to stand by what I said if you're all using DROs and nothing else.
Jackie, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Does this BCBA acquaintance of yours, did they go to a meeting with other BCBAs periodically that use DROs and they say, hey, my name is so-and-so?
Maybe,
Please.
right?
It's been 3 days since I used a DRO.
So that actually, I think for me,
what's wrong? I have to admit, I haven't listened. I should listen to those shows and find out the reason for the hate.
It's fine.
I got to understand the hate. So
you got to find out why. Yeah, it's episode 320.
Yeah,
for anyone who wants to tune in.
It's definitely
the numbers.
It's more complicated than like Jackie just thinks this is stupid, or like Jackie thinks there's better program. There is a lot of research, and it does get into these like moment by moment kind of electromechanical computer measuring systems to really quantify why DRO is not ever the best option, at least according to the research and sort of, kind of the consensus we came from the episode. So it's not as simple as like, it's bad or there's like always something way better. Like,
it's essentially a punishment procedure, right? Like you just,
pretty much. Yeah.
That is why it's not reinforcement at all. And you're not teaching anything, but listen to the episode, everyone.
All right. I'll stop.
That was number 8. I just thought it was funny that people have like been actively coming up
so we've had a lot of and online as
online
well.
people are commenting,
emailing me on our Patreon.
Yep.
Oh, that's so awesome. That means you really hit on you hit a nerve there.
I hit a nerve.
No, in a good way. That means that's great podcasting right there. So kudos to you guys.
Challenged people's thoughts on what they are currently doing, and they're not happy about it.
Yeah. So in 2026, every episode will be titled "Why Blank is Awful," and we'll be like engagement through the roof.
I'm gonna steal that, guys.
Don't worry, man. Just between both of us, everything is just everything's bad.
No.
Why I hate X.
Yep.
Y or
there
Z.
we go.
But so that was our number 8. What was your number 8, Matt?
My number 8. So it's a little weird because all right, I'm gonna kind of get in the weeds here a little bit because I did a couple of things. One is I looked at the way I define. So I looked at downloads after 30 days of publication.
Okay.
Because
I just went to a website and typed in, what are the top highest rated podcasts of 2025 ABA Inside Track? And these are the ones they gave me.
You went to Claude and said, what are the best to ABA Inside Track? Yep. So no, I went to my stats and looked at the downloads after 30 days. And what that means is that there are, we're recording this on December 5th. And so that means there's a number of episodes that we've both published that are not captured by these data. So I had to kind of reach back into 2024 slightly. Okay. So that altered the calculus here a little bit. So, all right. So there's some really like that Francesca episode I was just talking about. That was out of the running for this because it missed the cutoff because it hasn't been out for 30 days. All right. Having said that, let's see. I'll go with episode 313. It was on Ascent with Cody Morris.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cody's great.
Cody is the man. He's so good. And you guys have had him on, right?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when you do a podcast with someone else who's a podcast host. It's like, it's so easy. It's like cheating,
they get the assignment. They know the banter.
It's so good. It's so good. And he's so good at explaining things. And what I like about his podcast is that he does a really good job of kind of sticking to almost like a journalist role, being somewhat impartial, but every once in a while kind of, putting his own thoughts into the follow-up question. So it's not just QA. There's a lot of really thoughtful discussion and responses, and he's bringing his own experiences to bear in these conversations. So I think I'm a huge fan of how he conducts an interview. And so we did this, so I get to ask all my but questions about Ascent. And because I'm a knuckle dragger with some of these things, and he was a really good sport about it. So I think if people want a really nuanced discussion that's not just cookie cutter, that's not like one size fits all or whatever, they should read the article that he published in Java that came out recently. And B, if they want the Cliff Notes version, listen to the podcast that we did in session 313.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cody is a guy. I remember we had him on. I think one of the things that when you do a podcast, as long as we've been doing it, we'll like see people at conferences and we'll have them on the show. Like they were on pretty recently, right? And you'll look back and you're like, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
have them on the show again.
Exactly.
But you just don't notice until you're looking at the list. But yes, Cody is really, really excellent. And yes, understands the podcast game.
Yeah, he's such an interesting guy. He seems like he's never afraid to like touch the third rail of whatever topic it is that he wants to learn about, right?
Well, he's Midwestern nice, so it's like, how do you get upset?
Right.
Let's do number 7.
Yeah.
Lucky number 7.
Number 7 for ABA Inside Track was episode 328, Water Safety Skills. This was just a brand new episode, so I think that's why it's showing up more specifically than any other.
Still resonated, apparently.
That's what the algo said.
Yeah. But it was a good one. We talked about water safety, which is a really important skill.
And a lot in the news recently, there have been many, many children that have not made it.
Yeah.
Water. And so I think maybe that may have.
I think it's just it's only been out, so it looks like it's been downloaded a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it just came out like last month.
No. Well, the number one, no spoilers, but this is good information. Number one way to prevent danger in the water is swimming, learning to swim.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's more to it than that, but that is important. Everyone's learning.
Okay, what's your number?
Move to the desert.
Or move to the desert. That's number 2.
All right. So what are we on? Number 6?
No, you're number 7,
You're
Matt.
number 7.
Oh, my number 7. Oh, my number 7 is these. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, okay. Yeah, that would be the episode on trauma with. I just lost the link there. We're hey audience, we've been having issues here. Where did it go? It was.
We're
really
going to leave
good.
in the 20 minutes that we couldn't record because of technical issues. I'm just going to put in blank space just so they feel it. They feel the recording.
It was with Gabby Morgan and David Adams. Trauma-informed behavior analysis, a guide for BCBAs. So yeah, again, it's one of those topics that is, it's been an area of focus over the last few years. And it was an interesting episode because, David in particular is a clinical psychologist, and he's also been a foster parent to kids with, very difficult, a lot of adverse experiences and things like that. So it was a interesting conversation talking about the neurobiology of trauma, the interaction between respondent and operant conditioning, and some of his parenting experiences. So Gabby and David did a really good job on that one. So if folks missed that, they should go check it out.
That's excellent. We're on number 6. Our number 6 was family supports and contextual treatment planning, which I think probably
number 309.
Yeah, number 309. I think a lot of it is if you put out something that's either a cultural or ethics episode, those are ones that people always want to either. I'm hoping that they just love learning about ethics and cultural thing, as opposed to, hey, that is the CE type that I need more of. This episode was definitely one where we did a lot of that wasn't just us. We were just doing a discussion about supports, family supports. And I do think kind of going with our trends in ABA, I think there's a lot more humility so that we can bring that to our work with families rather than, family, I'm very smart. Let me tell you what you're doing wrong. It's more of a, tell me how you're a great family and what you would like us to help you get better at. Was a lot of the kind of the context of that episode. So, and I was very happy that we were able, I think, whether it's through maturity or just all our knowledge and awesomeness, really able to come at it from a perspective of what do we as BCBAs need to learn about working with families rather than what the families need to learn from working with us. So I hope everyone who listens gets that idea as well.
Right on.
Matt, you're number 6.
All right. This one's fun. I'm so happy this one made it into the top 8 This is the one on chronic absenteeism and school refusal.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I know you guys did a golden oldie on that with Chris Kearney, if I recall correctly. And I remember that was a solo interview that, Rob, you did with him.
A long time ago, yeah.
That had to be like year 2, maybe year 3. I don't know. It was a while ago.
It was Chris Kearney was one of the first people to write about functional analysis of school attendance problems, which was school refusal at the time. And he did it back in, I want to say 98 at a talk at Babbitt. So if you look at like some of the oldest references to issues around functional behavior assessment of school refusal, it is a talk at Babbitt, or like some of the oldest ones. Not for school, because it goes back to like the early 1900s when kids were all truants and, they were going off and doing whatever kids did in the early 20th century when they didn't go to school. I don't know, riding the rails maybe. I don't know.
Right, yeah, they were, pushing the hoops down the street with a stick.
It was more fun than school back then.
Yeah, so this is with Kristen McNeely. She's a clinician, kind of trained as a licensed clinical mental health counselor, if I'm not mistaken, and started doing some work in schools. And now she supports, her work is basically with parents to help them, kind of reduce parental accommodations, like over accommodations, that is, these are my words, not hers. So if I mischaracterize it, you can yell at me and not Kristen. But yeah, and what was special about this episode, it was session 300, and I didn't make a big deal out of it other than the fact that like I thought it was a perfect episode 300 because it was a very under noticed area where behavior analysis can make a difference, and which is one of the motivations starting the podcast in the first place. So we weren't talking about functional analysis. We weren't talking about Mans and Tax. We weren't talking about BST, or not to say those things aren't unimportant, but this was a really novel application of behavior analytic principles to solve a hugely socially significant problem. And so I was so happy that this one made it, and that it got the notoriety it did.
Nice. And Matt, I love that you had someone who was talking about it from the parent treatment perspective, because you see that in some of the literature, but most of it is about what is the school doing to help the family, but mostly to help the kid. So to have that parent, we have a parent group here in Massachusetts. Actually, I saw them do a talk last year, 2 years ago, that was on a similar subject. And it was really eye-opening to come at it from the perspective of how is this impacting the family rather than the traditional, like, well, if you tried harder as a family, your kid would go to school. That's a non-starter.
Yeah, the whole idea of parental accommodation is huge. And in the show notes to that particular episode, she references a couple books, which I ended up buying and reading, and they were just fantastic and kind of opened my eyes on some of those issues.
Nice.
Did you say open your AIs?
All right,
Jackie,
number
up.
five.
Number 5 was episode 318, Predicting and Preventing Mass Shootings with Dr. James Mendel. This is one of the ones I met him at Babbitt at a table. And
he was at Babbitt. You on the podcast. Let's go.
I found him very fascinating. And I didn't even know that he was talking in 5 minutes. And then he was like, "Oh, gotta go." And I'm like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do my invited address." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
He's in the room where the Worcester Railers play hockey. That's the big room.
And so that one was really interesting, and I think it's a nice way to look at behavior analysis outside the traditional applications.
I was able to bring that episode up at a Thanksgiving conversation I had this year as well. So we have a great thing. The Berry Cruise, we really rock a Thanksgiving conversation. That's for sure.
Wow.
Okay. How about you, man?
How do I follow that? All right. So mine is episode 299, Understanding Repetitive Behavior, with someone near and dear to all four of us, Dr. Bill Hearn.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta love Bill, right?
Gotta love Bill.
Bill.
Yeah. Bill's the man. We all know and love. And if you haven't listened to the episode, just go listen to it. I don't want to belabor the point because what Bill says is super informative, and the best, the most fun part about talking with him is trying to figure out if he's joking or not.
Yeah.
His wit is so dry. It's so dry, and it's like, is he Is this a joke?
It's
Or
so
is this
true.
is this mild criticism?
Yep.
Or is it just conversation? I don't know. So it's exciting.
It's a combination.
Yeah.
It's exciting when you talk to him because you never know. You're just always on your toes. No.
Yeah.
All kidding aside, he's a super cool guy. Great. There's a lot of great stories in there. We talk about why he's proud to be a behavior analyst and why you should too. That's towards the end of the podcast. We also talk about anxiety with kids with autism or individuals with autism, I should say. So there's a little grab bag, a little something there for lots of folks. So go check it out.
Beautiful.
Very good.
All right. Number 4.
Yes, number 4 for us is our episode 300. And
so have 300 episodes of a podcast.
This one was back towards the beginning of the year, and we did it live and in person, which was kind of fun on the Regis campus. And the topic was my selection, and one that has proven to be very prescient. It was vaccines do not cause autism.
Asterisks.
There's no asterisks.
There was. If you check the CDC website, I think you'll notice there is an asterisk.
Okay. We talked.
Yeah, so we review all of the existing, comprehensive, large study, longitudinal research that demonstrates that vaccines do not cause autism, and you can check it out.
But they really do. I'm just kidding, folks.
They don't.
So the asterisk is for, right?
Not
we got to trust our government.
I kid.
Yeah, so it was really fun.
Shots,
we got to do it. Like, we had alumni, like Regis alums come. We had podcast listeners come.
Mm-hmm.
We had old friends come. We had past guests on the show come.
We had snacks.
With
It
snacks.
was really fun.
With
And pizza.
Yeah, it was a really fun time. So thanks everyone who came out.
And the best part of any live recording is I'm just spending the whole recording going, I bet our recording stuff fails and we don't get this recording captured and I'll be sad. But luckily we didn't. But that's always my fear. It's always
It
my fear.
worked out. So, yeah.
All right, Matt, you're number 4.
All right. I missed one, actually. I'm out of order here, but I'll try to get myself back on track. So I did an episode with Kyle Miguel on bidirectional naming.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great fun. It's a topic that, it's one of those things. It's like, you read it. It's like while you're reading it, you get it. And you walk away and you go, check your email or you go I don't know, make a cup of coffee or something like that. And you come back and it's like, oh man, all that information just left my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also what talking to Billy Hearn is like. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I'm talking to either of them, 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
I feel like, in Memento, when the guy's like, get a piece of paper and write it down. Get a piece of paper and write it down. That's how I am when
tattoo your bidirectional naming discussion on your body is the only way to keep it.
Yes. Yeah. Naming is labeling with understanding. Something like that. It's like those little things like that, kind of deep stuff, And it's funny because we went over was it the 2016 or 2018 paper that he wrote on that, when he kind of introduced the concept. And I've had the opportunity to meet and spend some time with him. And so every time I read his stuff, I'm reading it in his voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like uncanny. So anyway, super cool guy, very fun episode. He makes this stuff kind of approachable, at least from my perspective. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to be speaking at the Rural Behavior Conference, which is coming up
in
March, at the end of March of 2026.
Okay.
Kai was very rock and roll in his own way.
Can't say it any better.
Matt, you're out of order, or do you need to do another one to catch up with numbers?
No,
or?
you guys go. Okay. You guys can go ahead. I'll figure it out.
I think, what are we on? Number 3 is our number 3 was Behavioral Artistry Revisited with Dr. Amy Buxpan, who we
number 324.
324. We did an episode on behavioral artistry that apparently was not on our top 8 podcast, maybe because it was last year.
Last year.
Okay, it was last year.
It's only this year.
Okay. So we did that last year. And Amy reached out and said, hey, by the way, I wrote one of those articles you talked about. I'd like to talk about it more. Which you think
No. New article.
Oh, she had a new article.
Because we had a lot of questions about the old article, and she said, I just happened to write a new article that addresses all of the questions that you guys had.
Oh, good. I was remembering it wrong. I was remembering it as like, oh no, we feel bad. We should have asked you to come on the show when you wrote it.
No. She had the answers to the
There was the new one. Okay, great. But anyway, it's a topic that I feel like kind of, to the trend I talked about, this idea of, thinking about being a behavior analyst as, what is the artistry of it was something that really was very, again, alluring as an idea, because it's you work with so many people, and some people just get it. They're just so good, and not because they're BCBAs, just because they just get working with people. And some people with all the training, it's like they're not the greatest clinicians. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is it? Like, what's that unnameable? And then going back to some of Fox's writing, and then having Amy as someone who's working on this, like actively working out how to teach these skills, but also not making it such it's just one more behavior analytic skill that we can teach through behavior skills training, and which you can to some extent. But we sort of talked about the limitations of that, what it means to be a behavioral artist.
TIP procedure.
It was the TIPS. It was the TIPS procedure, which is a lot like PST. But just a lot of fun to have on. And again, just a guest who, gets the podcast medium of like, some of this needs to be just like very, deep thought, good conversation, everyone learns something, but some of it also just needs to be like a ton of fun to talk about too. Like, it needs to be exciting. So
did you say
just
that was
a lot
328?
324.
324. I missed that one. I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds right up my alley.
Oh, I mean, she
was cool.
Yeah, if you haven't spoken to her too, Matt, like behavioral artistry, I think is a topic that I'm sure you've seen some of it, but it definitely one that I think is very in line with like the work that you do. And I just loved reading about it. It was like one of those like, yes, this is the thing I've been talking about, but haven't written down or named. I just kind of
I don't have
vibed out it as a thing. So someone had done it. Hooray.
Sweet.
All right. What's your number 3, Matt?
My number 3 is Jamie Salter and Katie Croakey talking about self and match and self-management.
Oh.
I was actually surprised. It's like I had some episodes that I was not that I thought that they were unpopular or anything like that. I just, you never know what resonates with the audience, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys had this experience. Like you put something out, and it's like, oh wow, people really, kind of dug that, and I just didn't see that coming. And so these are 2 folks that developed. I don't know if you guys are you familiar with the Self and Match? It's a self-management curriculum. And what I love about this is, it kind of falls along like the idea of implementation science. Like they're not recreating the wheel. They're making the wheel more accessible to other people and getting it out there and getting
They're making
stuff.
it rounder.
Yeah, they're making it. It's so the wheel is so round. It's so round.
It just rolls so smooth now.
That's right. It's the greatest wheel. It's the roundest wheel. Anyway, so where was I?
Sorry.
But they have this curriculum called Self and Match, and these guys are out there presenting at mainstream educational conferences.
Yeah.
They're out there in school districts, teaching people to implement, kind of basic self-management interventions, basic reinforcement systems and things like that. And they're making it very accessible to folks. And I it's just one of those things. It's like, more of this, please, to kind of paraphrase Pat Fryman. And I just think that the work that they do is outstanding. I've gotten to know them personally a little bit too, and they're just really great people as well. So I'm really happy to see that episode resonate so strongly with the audience.
Very nice.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming up around the bend. Number 2, Jackie.
Number 2 is disability affirming supervision. That's episode 321.
Ooh.
And that one is likely because it is a supervision episode. And that's usually high on the most listened.
That's not our only. We did a bunch of supervision episodes.
Actually, yeah.
So the fact that one came out as number 2, there's got to be more to it than just supervision. I'd like to think it's because we chose a topic that we don't see a lot publications about in behavior analysis necessarily. More, but not as much.
And this one was specifically around how you supervise your supervisees that may or may not have a disability, specifically disability.
Yep.
And so that's something that it was new in the research this year. And so it was exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites. I know that.
It was a lot of fun to learn about.
Yeah.
Talk about, discuss.
It made me very excited.
It's nice to know there's more supervision.
Covered an article by Grace Echo Jojo, and that episode is an awesome.
Yeah. I just love that name too.
That's a great name. And then it ties into the talk that you and I did on UDL as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not on the podcast.
No,
it's a different
it's
thing.
our job.
Yeah. No, it's for Babbitt.
Oh, yeah, Babbitt.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I'm at your number 2.
Okay, another set of guests that are near and dear to my heart is, I didn't realize this until I actually looked at the stats, but it's my good friends, dear friends, and business partners, Anika Costa and Dr. Polly Gavoni.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And I when I put this information together, I shot them a text. I'm like, by the way, you guys are like, almost the top, the number one
number
podcast
2.
in 20. Yeah. Well, technically, as far as the I'll put the asterisk. They are kind of asterisk number 1. When we get to the number 1, I'll provide some context as to why the asterisk is there.
Okay.
But yeah, so they came on to talk about motivational interviewing, and these are also people that go out and work in school districts at scale. They do a lot of work at the state level. They've done a lot of work with like the Hawaii DOE, South Carolina, West Virginia. They're all over the place, and it's just I'm really lucky that they've I've kind of hooked on to them a little bit to do some of the stuff we were doing over at the Behavioral Toolbox. But that episode, Rob, to your earlier point about becoming more interested in motivational interviewing, we talked about that a little bit in that episode, and basically
about how interested I was in motivational interviewing.
Yeah. The entire episode was about you, and
so honored, Matt. Thank you.
And how we need to approach Rob
with open-ended questions. And,
and the ruler and the whole 9 yards.
I need affirmations. Ask my co-hosts. I need constant affirmations.
It starts with asking open-ended questions, and then anyway. So, all kidding aside, that was session 286. That was one of the first episodes in 2025.
Nice. Polly has a book as a supervision or leadership book. Am I thinking about that right?
Polly is a savant in terms of writing productivity.
But it's like positional authority.
Positional authority, yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay.
That guy writes a book a month.
It seems like it, but I know that's on our short list for a supervision September read. So.
You should, I'm sure he'd love to come on and talk about it too.
If we do it, we'll have him on.
He is also, I think, on the short list of like we have Julio.
Yeah. So that he literally writes a book. I mean, his level of productivity is off the charts. It makes me feel terrible inside.
I know those people. Those people who just are working hard to like teach other people new things. Like, how dare they? How dare they make the rest of us feel lazy? I don't like that. No.
Yeah.
Crossed off the list. I don't want to talk to you, Paul. You make me feel bad.
No.
He
just came off a cruise, so it's
Oh, okay. So this will be the good time.
All good.
All right. I think we're coming around to number 1.
All
Diana.
right. Well, how exciting!
What was
I
our
get to
number
do
one?
number 1 for us. Oh, thank you. Drum roll. Our number 1 episode was episode 305, which is ableism and the medical model of disability, which I was excited to talk about. This is something I talk about in my class as well. We talk about the medical and the social models of disability and how that ties into ableism. We had a sisters episode, I guess, about ableism in the education system. Mm-hmm. That one didn't rank, though. Oh, maybe it was the previous year.
I think it was
It was 295, so it might have been in like December of last year, perhaps. So, yeah. That was number 1.
Yeah. All right.
And how do we, if I do this, what will happen?
It will make terrible sounds. Please don't do that.
That's too loud.
All right.
If I do this.
All right. So my number 1 episode actually was in December of last year.
Oh,
because it missed the cutoff.
Oh, okay.
All right. So there's the asterisk I foreshadowed.
We will allow it because it is a special episode.
Judges?
We're going to allow it. Just this once, young man.
East Germany allows it.
I'm getting word. I'll allow it.
That's right. East Germany says yes. Still waiting on the checks. All right. So doubling the downloads of all the other heretofore mentioned episodes was session 283 with this up and coming behavior analyst. You may not have heard of him. His name is Greg something. I'm blanking on his last name. It begins with Hanley. Yeah, Greg Hanley.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so Greg came on, and I published this. Actually, I published this like right around the same time we published the year in review for last year. Mm-hmm. And as such, it didn't fall into the catchment area of what we're talking about this year. And it was downloaded again more than twice as much as all the other episodes that we've discussed thus far. Because,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, Greg can come on the podcast and basically read the yellow pages, and I think it would be a hit. So, anyway.
Is that
so
what he did on that episode, Matt? Or he did?
Yeah. And after that, after he got through Z, we talked about deconstructing what he means about compassionate care and applied behavior analysis.
I would. So we'd televisability, stuff like that as well.
Yeah. And also, there's, if you haven't caught that episode, there was a lot of hot takes, and when we, I have a team that publishes reels of and clips and whatnot of segments of the podcast online. Mm-hmm. You can find them on my Instagram and LinkedIn and whatnot. I don't think it'll be too controversial to say, but Greg's at the point in his career where he
says what he wants.
Yeah.
He says what he's letting it fly.
He says what he wants back.
That's been a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so there's some really, so some of those posts that went on LinkedIn, got a lot of discussion, as it were. And so it was really, really interesting. I'll see if I can find the LinkedIn thread.
Cool.
And send it to you guys for the show notes. But it was a lot of a lot of people chopping it up, and things like that. So, really, really interesting. And whether you agree or not with him, it's good to provoke that thought, in terms of how we approach these things, particularly as it relates to social validity, socially valid outcomes that transcend highly staffed, highly trained settings and whatnot. So, I thought it was a really interesting discussion.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So lots of fun, lots of stuff. So folks, if you're listening to this, this is your first episode of either of our shows. You have a lot of other episodes you probably should have listened to first, but I'm glad you're here.
A lot of homework to do now.
All right. Well,
wait, can I tell you something really quick?
Go for it.
Yeah, please.
Someone reached out, one of our old friends, and was like, I listened to the podcast. And I listened so much because it's December, right? So many of us are renewing right now. She's like, I listened so much that I thought we were actually friends. But then I realized that you don't have an 8-month-old child because she listened to an old podcast. And then she's like, you have an 8-month-old child? And she's like, oh, yeah, it's an old episode. So
time has moved.
I just think that
time has continued to go forward.
Oh, well, I think that brings us to the last thing. We're both approaching, speaking of time moving on, this upcoming year, 2026 in ABA. I think one of the most important things is that we've got 2 ABA podcasts that have been going on for 10 years. If we make it through January and February into March, we'll have all made it for 10 years of doing this stuff. So I'm sure we'll be doing 10-year retrospectives and all that jazz. But I thought what might be fun, since there's not a lot of us out there who can have a conversation of, hey, I started an ABA podcast, and some of my influences for us, we're not ABA podcasts, because I think other than some clips Amanda Kelly had put out before us, I don't think we didn't have a model that we were going off of, or at least that I knew of.
Yeah,
right?
To my knowledge, there were 3 people who that put out podcasts before we did, and that was you're correct, Amanda Kelly being one of them. Rick Cabina did a precision teaching podcast. Mm-hmm. Jabba actually put out a few podcasts. I think Matt Norman did a few shows, and then he threw his hands up saying, this is too much work. And DJ Moran had a podcast about ACT, but DJ Moran's a behavior analyst. I mean, he's a psychologist, but he's a behavior analyst. He calls himself a radical behavior analyst, and but it was mainly ACT based, but it certainly was one of the shows I listened to when I was kind of thinking about how I wanted to do behavioral observations. So I would say those 4 are the people who existed before either of us did. But I think we're the kind of are you guys familiar with the beer called Yingling?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Right, so if I understand this, and people from Pennsylvania can yell at me if I get this incorrect. I went to school in Pennsylvania,
so I might know.
So there used to be a T-shirt. Yingling is the oldest continuously operated brewery in the United States, right? And so there's a little qualifier there. Where there were older breweries in Yingling, certainly, but Yingling is the oldest continuously operating brewery in the United States. So
So we're the Yinglings of podcasts.
We're the Yinglings.
Speaking
Yeah,
of paper
we don't need to we don't need to get into which one of us started first. That would be kind of like petty or childish. But so it's within a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I kid. But so
it's literally a week,
It's like-
which is terrifying. It's like how did we all come up with this idea at the same time?
We were not friends.
there was
No,
a
we
whole,
didn't coordinate that. That wasn't a plan of like, in 2026, Matt's gonna be so funny. And we just happened.
No, there was a hole in the marketplace that
Right.
we, I think we just, there was this thing, this medium that existed that behavior analysis hadn't really fully, for lack of a better word, exploited. It had tried to in fits and starts, but there was nothing like ongoing at the time. And at the same time, the medium was becoming more popular. I remember this, guys. I don't know if you guys had this experience, but like trying to get guests on the show, like saying, "Hey, you know what?
right.
I'd like to interview for a podcast." Now, a podcast is like a radio show,
Right.
and it's on the internet. So, like, I'd have to go through this like explanation. I kid you not. I kid you not. Like, I would have to go through this with many, many guests at the beginning because podcast was not a household term. It's like if you were into tech and whatnot, you kind of knew what it was, and it really is crazy that I think the two of us, or the four of us, I suppose, the two podcasts, we kind of caught the wave at the right time.
Yeah.
To use a surfing analogy, and it's crazy to see how everything kind of took off after that.
Yeah, it was sort of post-serial, making it so people are like, podcasts, but before every celebrity had their own podcast about like, I'm going to tell you about a book I read, or I'm going to tell you a thing, fine, whatever. So yeah, I think we did hit that kind of that sweet spot of it. It wasn't so nobody knows what this is, but it also wasn't something everyone had one of. So but one of the thing I kind of wanted us to briefly say, maybe we share one show, is because, other than a couple of those, kind of pre our shows, most of what we probably learned about podcasts came from other podcasts that had nothing to do with behavior analysis. So I'd love to hear everyone's, what was the show that you were like, this actually is not a behavior analytic thing at all, but there was just something about that show that I wanted to bring to my show from a totally different field.
I'll go first because I had nothing. I did not listen to podcasts.
We're on my podcast, Jackie.
I was on it, but I didn't listen to it. And I didn't listen to podcasts at the time.
Okay.
So.
Not even your own that you were a guest on.
No.
Before us, when I had my own podcast for a year.
Music.
I did not. No.
Okay. So Jackie had no experience.
None.
How about you, Donna?
Well, I don't know which one you're going to say, because I feel like there are two that probably largely influence us together. So why don't you go first?
No, I have like three or four, and I know there's at least one that you never listened to. So you should.
Well, you said we could each pick one.
That's right.
No, I'm not picking three or four. I said I have three or four. So if you pick one, I still got two or three.
Okay. Well, there is a offbeat quiz show and radio podcast that we listen to called Good Job Brain, a trivia podcast. I missed a word in there, and it had at the start of it had four different hosts. They each had their own perspective and personalities on things, and they were really interactive and just fun to listen to. You felt like they were your friends. They told a lot of jokes and had kept things just really interesting, and it seemed like they were really curious about life and had a lot to bring to their show. And so I think that they were a big influence for us. Even the way at the end we say bye, like that is basically like from their show. Yep. So that is definitely an influence.
That's how I just say bye, though.
Bye.
Are you sure it isn't just after all these episodes of our podcast? It's incepted into you?
I don't think so.
No, okay. Matt, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I have a couple, and they're more from like the kind of business and entrepreneurial kind of space, if you will. So I listen to a lot of the Tim Ferriss podcasts, Tim Ferriss show, especially early on. I haven't listened to him in years, to be quite actually all the podcasts I'm going to mention I haven't listened to in years, but like at the time of discovering podcasts and thinking about creating my own, I was listening to these people a lot because they were interview-based shows mostly. And when I realized that that's the direction I want to take my, kind of new media outreach, because I was actually thinking about, okay, do I do a YouTube channel? Do I do a blog, or do I do a podcast? I want to do something kind of creative. I started listening to these shows, and it really, they were kind of also Tim Ferriss. There's a guy named Pat Flynn that's out there. He did a lot of shows on, again, it's like a lot of online kind of entrepreneurship. And then there was kind of a show called the Solopreneur Hour with this guy named Michael O'Neill, who's kind of a nutcase in a lovable way. But he had a really kind of loose, long form interview style, not a lot of editing, very relaxed. And I think between the three of those, I kind of took a lot of influence from how to, in terms of framing how I'd want to have, an interview experience and present it to the audience.
Awesome.
Makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. I wish mine were more related to the field, but I think when I was listening to podcasts, I mostly came to it as I don't have time to play video games, but I used to love them as a kid, and I have my own children, so I'm too busy. Is there a podcast that will tell me what video games are available and or remind me of the old video games I used to like? And there is an old video game podcast, which I do still listen to. I don't want to hear new video games, just old video games, called Retronauts. And I think it was a real influence in that the original host, they have like a rotating set of hosts now, but he was just the most like laid back and like, I'm talking very analytically about this thing. And there was just something about the way the show worked of we're talking about this kind of, silly thing, but they brought this level of both passion and erudition to the topic. And I think it sort of captured, and they did guess, captured kind of some of the vibe we were going for when we started the show of this has to be a show that is both, this has to be a show that is about something. It has to be a show in which we're teaching, but it has to be a show in which we clearly, no matter how smarty it sounds, or no matter how in the weeds we get, that sounds like we are just still so passionate and excited and having a good time. And that show always had that vibe. Which, you're talking about video games, so I would hope that you can be I'm interested and excited about talking about video games. The same way you could talk about behavior analysis. I don't know if it's quite the same, but that was one that I was new for a very long time. So I think some of the kind of initial speech patterns and everything I sort of was taking from just having heard that show over and over again. So the pre-times. And now if you start an ABA podcast these days, I would hope you're saying I listened to Behavioral Innovations and ABA Inside Track some, and I'm, what do I take from those shows I liked?
So I don't know about you, if you guys have this experience, but I've had a lot of behavior analysts reach out to me over the years saying, I want to start a podcast. What advice do you have for me? And I actually struggle to answer the question because, I don't know, if I started Behavioral Observations today, given all the other podcasts out there, would I get the traction that I have now? Mm-hmm. Both of us, again, benefited from being way out ahead. And I don't mean that in any kind of, superiority type of
No, we just got lucky.
We started at the time we started. Yeah.
Pure timing, and so, now there's a lot more kind of, there's many more podcasts out there. And I also see this too, like people want to start a podcast, and they start a podcast and they put out 5, 10, 15, 20 episodes, and the podcasts go away because, the dirty little secret is it's a lot of work.
Yes.
It's almost 6:00 on a Friday night that we're recording this right now. We're, the four of us are committed to this, to this process. And we have been for over a decade, and
you haven't aged at all.
No, we still look great.
Yes.
We still look great.
Clearly.
With all of my hair. The one thing that I actually really loved is that animated slideshow for our 300th episode, and you could see all the lengths of my hair. It was short, long, medium, short, long, medium.
It's true. But yeah, it's
was there a bangs?
Oh yeah, of course there was. There was multiple bangs.
Okay.
Before I cut this pixie cut. Now that I'm growing it out, there'll be bangs again. Don't worry, Matt.
They're coming back.
Okay, all right.
It's definitely
it's never goodbye. It's just see you later with the bangs.
Yeah, it's a real commitment though.
Yeah.
Bangs, and podcasting both.
The same amount of same commitment.
Right. When people are like, "Should I get bangs?"
It's well, how's your podcast going?
Right.
Hell yeah. The answer is always yes.
Today? If not, then no, don't get bangs.
Oh boy.
I think we should just end it right there.
Yeah, it's probably time to go.
Time to go. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed listening to our year-end wrap-up for 2025. We've got so many exciting things coming out in 2026. So we'll come back and do this again
We'll
next
tell you what
year.
those are
We'll tell you what they are later. They're great. We promise.
Why would we tell you now?
Yeah, keep them on the edge of their seats. We kept that DRO secret for years. As long as they were still listening.
DROs are totally fine.
We jumped the shark in 2025. I don't know what we got left. So, all right. Well, everyone, for all of us here at the ABA Inside Track and Behavioral Observation Studios, wishing you a happy new year, or whenever you're listening to this, happy day, I guess.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Well,
folks.
bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.